It's a new era of Seahawks football, and we are talking about, of course, what everyone else is talking about, which is the murals being taken down from Seahawks facility and what this means. Simply, George, let's get to the point. It's not the biggest deal in the world, especially once John Schneider came out and explained it a little more, that they're going to add TVs and there's going to be like things playing throughout, and they were kind of like old and some of them were ripping off the wall. At the end of the day, it's a new era, right? So a new coach is going to do what a new coach is going to do.
Yeah, I mean, God, tell me that there's no news going on without telling me there's no news going on. Like, if this was next week on Thursday during the draft, it's almost a non-story. It's a blip, right? If this is during September, right before week one, it's also a blip. However, I do understand some people's like hesitation, animosity, and downright like, okay, why even bring this up or do this? Like, my problem with it, and I have zero problem with it, but if Mike McDonald wins, it's a non-story. If he loses, people will come back and use this as some sort of evidence on why he didn't win, despite it, I think, having nothing to do with anything. But yeah, it's fuel if he doesn't win.
You're listening to the Sports on Tap Seattle podcast. I'm Sammy, and with me, as always, is my older brother, George.
Your favorite place to be a fan of Seattle sports. Now let's get this party started.
My thing is, when you really break it down, and it's the fact that the rest of the Seahawks facility, the building has, like John Schneider's talking about, right when you go through that hallway, like you go right, and it's like that's where all the shrines are, like the Super Bowl trophies, the NFC West, the NFC Championship trophies, all the pictures of all the players, the plaques of every player that's ever played. They have a plaque for each player that's ever played in the history of the Seahawks, even if it's for a game, like all across the wall. So it was like he was kind of laughing at it because he was like, it was just a hallway. Like it was like that hallway, those were put up just like during that era when we were winning some games, and they were like old posters pretty much on the wall. Yeah. And we pulled them down. We're going to put TVs. We're going to have things playing throughout the TV, sometimes memories of the past and different things. So he's like, and then he called it himself Picturegate, which was kind of funny because he knew, like, you know, he was mocking it himself. Like, oh, Picturegate, what a big deal. At the end of the day, it's a new era. It doesn't matter. Now, I do think what you said is important because I think, but before we move off this topic and really just talk about the new era that's coming to Seattle, I do think that if, like you said, things don't go well, like he loses a lot of games, or, you know, like let's say 3 years from now he's not even the coach of the Seahawks anymore, it's going to look like it was insecure that like we took down murals from walls.
Let's keep something in mind, Sammy, though. Like what you just said, it's not like he went to the cabinet, took the Super Bowl trophy and smashed it and broke it.
Yeah, like
he's not like
this program's never won before. I don't even want to talk about it.
You see this Super Bowl trophy? Boom. You see this Ring of Honor? We're taking it. No, he's just, like you said, it's a hallway. It's like the biggest non-story
for the players and coaches too. It's not even like at the stadium. It's at the practice facility.
Yeah, true. Yeah, it's at the practice facility. So I'm with you on that. But yeah, continue there. I just wanted to make sure people know he did not break the Super Bowl trophy.
Yeah, well, that was my whole point with when you turn right, there's every piece of memorabilia, right? And like the shrines, like any other place has. Like a lot of stadiums have it. A lot of practice facilities have it. It's all there still. So it doesn't really matter that much. I think the reason I think it doesn't matter, and I think this is a good way to kind of transition to the more important part here, which is you can tell somebody like John Schneider laughed about it and called it Picturegate. He was like, it's whatever. We're going to put TVs that are flashing the memories and have different things and maybe announcements. Like they're kind of cleaning up and digitalizing the plays. And then you have all these players talking about the changes, right? Like Tyler Lockett and Leonard Williams and Uchenna Nwasu, and a lot of people have had and Geno Smith have had their interviews, and they're all talking about the fact that Mike McDonald really is bringing, all the players have said it, it's a new culture. You can feel it. It's a different attitude. It's a different era, and they all like the era that is beginning, right? So, and obviously you're supposed to say those things, but it sounds like the players genuinely do, and you can tell players from the past and from his past places really like him. And there's been like, he's not one of those guys that has any like bad past, right? Like everyone has high like regards towards him. So at the end of the day, if the players don't give a shit, like and like John Schneider doesn't give a shit, and the owners don't give a shit. At the end of the day, it sounds like they believe in the culture Mike McDonald's building, and I think that's all that really matters in that building is, do we believe, like, forget the past, do we believe what is coming right now for the future? If the answer is yes, then no big deal on anything else. Do what you got to do.
I couldn't agree. Like, if I was to able to like just go back and say what you said, I would have said the same exact thing. There's like, it's very rare on this podcast, if you guys watch me and Sammy's conversations, to have 110% agreement on something. We agree a lot of times, but we disagree sometimes too. But this is like 110% agreement. I will just echo exactly what you said there. I totally agree. And I do also like the direction we're going in. I think this is the way to do things, is when you're going to have a culture shift the culture. You don't like tiptoe around the culture. You shift the culture, and that's what he's doing. And for better or for worse, right, Sam? Like, I would rather have Mike McDonald fail doing it his way than go 9-8 doing it Pete's way. Like either swing for the fences,
I wouldn't
or
even say for better or for worse. I think it's just like,
it is what it is.
It's
like,
a new
right?
person. I mean, like, at the end of the day, there's some things that I definitely agreed with yesterday. But it's like they took down the "Always Compete" sign in the practice facility. Like, that's literally the name of Pete Carroll's book, right?
Yeah,
like,
that was the Pete Carroll era.
obvious.
Was "Always Compete."
Yeah, that's completely different. That's like not even related to the murals of players or like this, like the pictures of the Beast and Quake and the tip, because that's like just mottos, right? That like a coach uses, in the sign that says "All I'm in" or whatever it is. So like those things, like, it's not even for better or for worse. It's just like it's a different human being making this culture. He has a different method maybe when it comes to workouts, maybe a different method when it comes to practice and the intensity or music or whatever it is.
Maybe Mike McDonald doesn't like competing. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's just a different person. So
exactly,
it's you gotta just like let it roll with. I just think the only part, like I said, is the pictures were probably a little much, but if you never know, maybe they were already planning to do that and go digital, like John Schneider said. Like, at the end of the day, sometimes things only seem like big deals because of like the situation surrounding it, right? Like, new coach, new era, like, oh my God, the pictures. But in reality, they're probably going to come down one day too.
Yeah, and is it possible we just kind of got overblown? Like, it wasn't presented, not overblown, it wasn't presented correctly. The way you presented it to me was like, oh, okay, so there's a hallway, they took down some pictures, but if you go take a right, there's like murals, and there's like a plaque with all the players' names on it in history, and the trophy cabinet and all this is to the right, but the hallway was kind of run down, so they're kind of upgrading it. If it was presented like that, it would become a non-story. But like I said at the beginning of this, it's April, a week before the draft. There's really not much going on, so it became a story.
Yeah, and I think it also just adds to the fact, like, it's different, right? There's gonna be shit like this with New England potentially. Maybe not because Gerard Mayo, whatever it is, was there with Bill Belichick at some point. But like, at the end of the day, when somebody's there for 14, 15 years and won a Super Bowl, like, things are very tailored to like what that coach wants, and the facilities and the practices and the design of the place. Even like, I'm sure Pete Carroll had a big say in, I would love to have something like this here, and they're like, yeah, sure, no problem, Pete. So at the end of the day, it's just the only reason I think it ever got overblown a little bit was because it's just different for people now. Like, we had the same like, if we were the Cleveland Browns, like, you think about the Browns, right? Like, it's like, none of their coaches over the last 30 years have any like significant like impact on their culture, their facilities. It's been a recycle of quarterbacks and coaches and different things. There's probably not one thing that has a super like I don't know, Kevin Stefanski, right? When he got that job, there probably was nothing in the building that was like, damn, like I'm trying to like have to stare at the last coach's all his like trophies or his pictures. No, there wasn't that. There was nothing. There hasn't been anything.
Stare at all 27 quarterbacks that played before my quarterback in the last 3 years.
Well, they're not on the wall, so
yeah, I know.
But that's the point, is that none of these guys had things on the wall. It's a very rare situation. The only places this happens is like New England, Green Bay, maybe Kansas City now, like Dallas. Where else? Like Steelers.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah. And now
Yeah.
Seattle. That's about it.
And now
Ravens.
That's about
and
it.
Ravens, probably.
And in Seattle, not so much. And either like if you really think
Just
like
now.
now we did just now, and even New England, one era, the Bill Belichick and Tom Brady era. Like it's very rare for an organization to have like multiple really good eras. I think it's just Green Bay, Dallas, Pittsburgh,
Yeah, Baltimore.
and San Francisco.
Baltimore's had multiple, I feel like.
Yeah, but it's all since 2000. Like in the last 20 years, their first Super Bowl was what 2000, and then their second Super Bowl is 2010.
Same with Tampa Bay. It's kind of weird. There was a couple teams that were like had like a weird like they had their stretch once every like 15 years.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I don't know. The Seahawks kind of had two good eras in the 2000s. I mean, they almost won a Super Bowl too. So it just depends. I think at the end of the day, to be an era, you have to win a Super Bowl. Like, or you don't
That's
have
how
to.
I
but
feel
like,
too.
To be considered one of those echelon top like. To be considered with the like Steelers, like Green Bay type of people. At the end of the day, though, George, it's all good. At the end of the day, Mike McDonald seems like he is running a good show over there. People seem to like him. There's all positive things. People are saying the culture is being built in a different way, which it's not coming off as like a negative connotation from these players. And at the end of the day, it was just pictures. So I'm excited. I think drafts next week. At the end of the day, this, like you said, would not be a topic if the draft was this week, for example. If this was yesterday when the draft was happening and we found out, people would be like, all right, whatever, they took down pictures, drafts tonight.
110%, bro.
All right. Well, we'll be back on Monday. So make sure you tune into the Sports on Tap Seattle, and you can find the podcast anywhere. All the links in the description. If you're listening on the podcast, you can find the links in the description to the videos as well, and all our stuff down there. So make sure you check it out. Like and subscribe. Leave us a review if it's a podcast. Whatever you can do can really help us. So please do it, and we'll be back next time. And George, you know what we like to say.
Thanks for stopping by.
Peace, y'all.